Good morning, everybody. So we are getting ready to head up out to the mountains, and we've got the truck loaded up. I went ahead and grabbed a ladder so we could finish doing the flashing above the doors, and gonna go ahead and gonna do something we haven't done yet, and that is I'm going to take Hank with us today. So hopefully that won't be too much of a trouble, but we are going to find out. So let's go ahead and get on the road. Like, what's our intentions for the tiny house or the cabin in the mountains? And honestly, we've really just always wanted a small little tiny house in the mountains. We wanted to stay up there and have a place that we could make memories with the kids, that we could go up and kayak and maybe do some snowboarding, or just visiting the town, the local amusement park, or just enjoy the weather. And I think some of the things that when you're talking about trying to do something like this on your own, a lot of the thoughts you may have is, man, it's so much cheaper for me to go ahead and do everything myself, for me to, take off, a few weekends from work, or, leave on Fridays, come back on Sundays, and make the 3.5 hour trip drive to wherever your cabin is or your destination. And you don't think about, okay, well, what about all the tools? Like, what about the ladders? What about the drills and the saws, the saw horses, like drop cords, and the air compressor if you're going to be using the nail gun, the air hose. These are all things that either you're going to have to start getting two of if you're doing projects still around the house, or these are things that you're gonna have to just transport back and forth. And when you're transporting stuff like ladders and chainsaws, and I don't have a covered back on my truck, so a lot of the equipment and stuff that I'm bringing back and forth, I don't want to get that rained on. So you saw my toolbox video to where I created that side mount toolbox for my extrusion overland rack, and that does save some space. But when you've got like the family on the inside of the truck, and then you also have blankets and pillows, and you want to bring up some food and stuff like that, you want to bring a case of water, but then you also got to bring all that equipment. Maybe you don't have power, maybe you got to bring a generator. That's stuff that adds up really quick. You run out of space really quickly. And that becomes part of the hassle. We're gonna go up here and get the cabin unlocked for us to start our service to get wired, to get the cabin unlocked, so that way our contractor can run the 100 amp service to the cabin. So you're probably wondering, like, 100 amp service, that's probably way more than you actually need for something like that. And honestly, it probably is. And all of that goes into, what are you going to use that building for? What type of appliances are you going to have into the building? What type of energy are you going to use? Is your electric and your heat, is your heat going to be propane, or is it going to be electric? Is your hot water heater going to be propane, or is it going to be electric? And the more and more, obviously, demand that you have on an electrical system, the larger the amperage service that you're going to need for that tiny cabin. I think getting up here, probably at first, getting connected to the electrical system, which we are currently for the camper, and going ahead with electric appliances, and maybe eventually down the road, long term, switching over to solar would get us in a position to be a lot more self-sustaining. right now we're connected to the grid. So this first tiny cabin, we're only planning to really have an on-demand hot water heater that's going to be electric. We're going to have a probably a microwave, maybe a smaller microwave, an air fryer, because we're not going to have a kitchen in this tiny cabin layout that we've showed you guys in the last video. So air fryer can do everything you need it to do. I mean, you're obviously not going to be baking, you know, turkey dinner or something in there, but you can fit like a smaller bird, like a smaller chicken or something like that, or you know, if you're cooking chicken breasts, or even if you're cooking a small pork roast, you know, something like that, but vegetables, or of course every child's favorite chicken nuggets. You can throw a bag of chicken nuggets in there and call it a day. But microwave, easy, you know, everything's microwavable these days, so that's not going to be an issue. And you know, as far as other electrical devices, I do want to put a one of those electric fireplaces in to provide an alternate method of heat in the living room area where my girls are going to stay. And we're talking about the tiny cabin that's there. This is not the future cabin that we're going to build. This is just talking about the tiny cabin that's already there and constructed that we just need to finish out. So as far as that goes, we're looking to do a split unit AC, and that split unit AC has a heat pump, and I believe a 12,000 BTU is going to be more than sufficient for our purposes. I have a 18,000 BTU that runs on 220 volt at our house, and it does about a 500 square foot area, decent, and it's not insulated at all. And this is, you know, it was 90 something degrees outside, and that room was 76. So with insulation, you know, I think a 12,000 BTU is going to be more than sufficient for this space, especially with it being mid-July and the peak temperatures that you're going to get on top of the mountain are like 80. So I think it's going to be fine. You know, as far as heat goes, it does have a heat pump, and I will tell you that heat pumps are not the best for producing heat in the wintertime. And, you know, that being said, that maybe I need to overpower the split unit for the tiny house. And that won't be that big of an issue, and usually it's not that much more of a cost. It's the difference of looking at like $890 versus like $1,000 or $1,200. So that might be something I need to consider and think about. But adding that other electric heater, I think is going to be pretty clutch. But back to the point, having a 220 volt mini split, which those are actually pretty energy conservative. They don't use a lot of energy. You got the heater, the electric heater, which that is going to be a draw on the service. But there's going to be no dryer. There's not a washer. There's not a dryer. There's maybe going to be a couple TVs, a couple outlets, a couple lights. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the the spring system pump off of that 100 amp service. You know, I could have did 50, but for the same price that I'm going to have someone trench the wire, run the wire, install the panel, and install the breakers, like, it's really not that much different to just go ahead and upgrade the service to a 100 amp service, and then you don't have to worry about ever needing more electricity or ever worrying about like popping a circuit breaker or anything like that. You've got everything you need. And that also gives me the opportunities to where if we do a patio in the front, I can run wires from the tiny cabin to maybe some auxiliary circuits around the property, in addition to running wires from the main cabin. And that's really what I want to be able to do. I don't want to be, you know, forced to only pull from one spot. So that's another reason we went ahead and got with a 100 amp service. All right, so we made it back here today, and you guys saw last time that I went ahead and cut all the grass and the weeds and stuff that had grown up around the tiny house and the camper, and unfortunately majority of it has grown back exponentially. So I'm gonna have to try to figure something out for landscaping areas to where you're not gonna be there that often to cut the grass. So I don't know if that means a lot of weed fabric and, you know, rocks or gravel or something like that, but I don't want this to be a destination location where I'm coming here just to mow grass on the weekends. So I think that's something that we're gonna have to look at. As you can see, I mean, it's already grown back probably like a foot to a foot and a half high. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut a little area around the tiny cabin really quick, so that way I can go ahead and start working on some of the things and getting these things done that I needed to do. Hank is loving his little spot in the shade over here. So unfortunately, the guys that put these doors in, they didn't end up using any sort of flashing underneath. So I'm gonna go ahead and flash on the front. They did put a bead of caulk, but these guys aren't, you know, carpenters or anything like that. So they essentially delivered the shed and set it up for me. So I'm gonna go ahead, and last time you saw me when I had leveled the door and got the doors nice and working well, and I'm gonna go ahead and stick this on and try to put a good nice seal all the way around it. All right, so it's been about a month since we've been up here, and I'm just checking out to see if there's any leaks, anything crazy that maybe I didn't see originally that maybe I can see now. Looks like everything's doing pretty well. No indications of any water or anything like that, so that's a positive. And see, we've got the boards still that we had last time, so that way I can go ahead and install those and go ahead and put the flashing up and the caulking. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and get busy working on. And let's shoot to a time lapse. So I actually ran out of this flashing tape right at the end, but it actually worked out perfect because I want to make sure that I put the next piece right here and then put this on top of it. So that way any water that comes is actually gonna go ahead and go right here on top of this one and then flow down below the next one instead of going underneath it automatically. So we get the next roll, then I'll go ahead and start going down, and then I'll come back and I'll put this over top it. So that way we can go ahead and finish this door, and then I can start on the next one with a fresh roll. All right, now that I got my side ran, now I can put this other one on top. Now to do the next door. It's not very pretty, but it'll do the job. This is probably where it's gonna get a little sketchy. If I die doing this, I give my wife permission to post this on YouTube. I'm just kidding, don't post this on YouTube if I die. So, barely finished. There's just a little bit left. Lessons learned on that. That was the first time I've ever put this stuff on. It's the flashing. I believe it's like, I don't know, it's some sort of like tar type flashing for windows and doors and windowsills. Originally I bought this because the expectation was that the people that installed the doors would put it on the inside of the door jambs. That did not happen. I guess I could have taken this size back and got the smaller size since I'm doing the outside, but I figured I already had it and maybe give it a shot. I think in hindsight, it's definitely too wide. I tried to make it so that way 1 inch or a ½ inch was actually on the door side, and then, you know, about like the 4 inches or so was on the wall side. So I'm gonna try to put the boards up, and I'm gonna hope that the boards are enough to cover it. If not, I might come back and just put a bead of paint or something around it just to cover the metallic, at least the shiny part. Or maybe come back and put some like, maybe black like quarter trim or something like that. Who knows? Either way, I'm not worried about it. You know, somebody told me a long time ago, put the big rocks in the bucket and the small rocks will kind of just fall into place. I'm not worried about that. That's a small rock in my opinion. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick the boards on, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get to caulking. You all right over there, fella? On this bad boy. And we're off. feel like this board is just a little bit bowed. Jeez. I'm gonna put this board up just to show you guys how far off it is. So relatively straight at the top, and then check out the bottom. Jeez, it's pretty rough. All right, well, looks like I got all the trim board on, and I'd say it looks pretty good. I think it worked out perfect as far as the flashing goes, because you can't see any of it. If I wouldn't have, cheated the 1 inch on the actual frame of the door, you probably would have been able to see it, but luckily it was perfect. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. Like I said, you really cannot see that flashing at all. So I'm going to come back now, and where these cracks are on the door and on the outside of the frame, I'm going to go ahead and caulk those up, get them nice and sealed so that way no water can get behind the door and get on the inside of the cabin. All right, so got that trim board up, thankfully. We're going to go ahead and get caulking. I've got this Dynaflex Ultra. No, you can't see that, it's in reverse. But it's a exterior sealant, 1 hour rain and paint ready, but it's black already. I don't plan on painting it. It's for window, door, siding, and trim, so should be good. I only got 2 bottles, so I'm not thinking that's gonna be enough, but I'm gonna do what I can, at least on the tops. So maybe if I do have to do more, then I'll just do what I can reach without the ladder next time, make it easy. So let me go ahead and get this caulk thing loaded. I do not like caulking, it's not very fun. It's messy, but this has got to get done, so let's go ahead and get started. And I literally just cut open the thing and I already have it all over my fingers. One thing I've learned about caulk is that paper towels, and a lot of them, are your best friend. One tube on that one. Let me go ahead and caulk the top of this one so we can get it sealed for the most part, and then maybe I can run up to Lowe's or a hardware store and grab another tube of caulk to finish her off. So we went ahead and finished everything that we needed to. Went up to Lowe's, got some extra sealant, some caulk, and finished doing the sides of the doors and the other side. Went ahead and sprayed just some bug poison to make sure that, you know, no spiders get in there or anything by the time we get back. But next time it's going to be putting up the insulation baffles and hopefully go ahead and start running some wires. That's going to be huge for us. Once we get the insulation in there, I can run the wires and have electricity. Then it's just a matter of throwing in the insulation and putting up some sheetrock. Need to do the bathroom, but a lot of things are going to be moving in the next, I'd say, several months. But hopefully, you know, it won't be too long before we're up here and we're able to enjoy the place. So we've got electricity coming within the next couple weeks to the sub panel, and we've got a spring system being installed within the next few weeks as well. He's backed up. He's trying to get to us as fast as he can, but you know how things work. So thanks for watching, guys. Phoenix to the Mountain. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe so that way you can see, you know, this adventure that we're going on and the things that, you know, we accomplish. So again, thanks for watching. See you guys later.